Beginning the program with the chairman of the Budget Committee in the House, Representative Jodey Arrington of Texas. Congressman, welcome back. How are you?
Hugh, I'm great. Glad to be with you. God bless Texas and God bless America.
Are you close? God bless this one big, beautiful bill. Are you close to getting it done?
God save the Republic, right? Yeah, we're close. We've been working on this for several months, long before the president took his oath of office and before this Congress even convened, and it's paid off. We are down to the football analogy, the red zone, with a few issues yet to be resolved, but I believe they will be. The president spoke to us, reminded us this morning of what a historic opportunity we have and how important it is to turn this country around and make America safe and prosperous again. Of course, this one big beautiful bill has the tools and resources to usher in that golden age he talks about and to advance the America First agenda. So there's a lot on the line. Failure's not an option, and I think we're going to punch it in the end zone here in the next few days. I think we'll make that deadline of Memorial Weekend.
Now, the spending on entitlements is going to stay stable or go up in most cases, is my understanding, and that there will be no tax on Social Security, no taxes on tips. I'm focused on the tax portion of the reconciliation. Are we still there?
Yes, I don't see the tax piece moving much. We dialed down the cost of the tax policy, which means we dialed some of the tax policies to a shorter duration on a temporary basis as opposed to permanent tax policy. So that was the way to meet the $4 trillion cost that was connected to the offsets of economic growth or revenue to the Treasury, plus the $1.5+ trillion in spending reduction. A lot of that's focused on cleaning up the Biden spending spree from the last 4 years, like the student loan bailout and the green energy tax subsidies, but there are also some good government stuff in there in terms of welfare reform, work requirements, program integrity to make sure that illegal immigrants aren't benefiting from taxpayer social services. So I think overall it's a fiscally responsible bill, and I think it's a good step of many steps to actually right the fiscal ship and stave off a debt crisis, which I think looms large over the horizon of our country.
Now, before I go to that, I want to make sure there aren't any, it's 1,100 pages. There aren't any like subsidies for Red Raider football in there, are there?
Ask that question again. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering whether you got a new stadium for the Texas Tech Red Raiders in there, if that's one of the things you said.
No football stadiums or bridges to nowhere. You know, we're trying to clean up the tax code. We're trying to, limit the scope and scale of the federal government. And look, in seriousness, we can always do more. Nobody gets everything they want in a bill this big and with such a thin margin. We've got the smallest margin in 100 years, I think, Hugh. So, we're threading the needle and we're still meeting the objectives of opening up domestic energy and restoring energy dominance, obviously unleashing growth and prosperity. The cornerstone of that is the extension of the tax cuts plus, and then making the biggest investment in the history of our country in border security and strengthening our national defense, all while offsetting with mandatory spending reductions twice as big in terms of cuts as we've ever had in the history of our country. So all in all, it is big, it is beautiful, and most of all, it's going to make a big difference in the lives of our fellow Americans and our country going forward.
In the money being spent on the border, Congressman, does the wall get built? And if so, how quickly?
Well, we have a president that actually believes in the rule of law, unlike the last president. So you've got the will and commitment to follow through on what we passed in Congress years back to build the wall. Joe Biden, among many other decisions, thumbed his nose at the Supreme Court and Congress by halting construction of the border wall. But we put more resources into the physical structure of the border wall, also technology, also boots on the ground. I mean, all the various things we need to support the president's new posture of detaining and deporting people who are in this country illegally. which is, as you know, diametrically opposite of what we've experienced over the last 4 years. So the resources are important, and they're on their way to the tune of about $150 billion to $200 billion.
So, Mr. Chairman, how did that meeting go this morning with the president? I was doing color commentary on Fox Morning, America's Newsroom with Bill and Aisha, and it seemed like he was pretty ebullient going in, and it sounds like coming out he was the same way. But how'd the meeting go?
He is very fun guy to listen to, just very authentic, tells you what's on his mind. You don't have to, he's not going to come in and give a formal speech like many politicians. In fact, he held up the speech that was prepared for him and kind of threw it to the side, and just spoke from his heart, and did a great job of connecting with the members. And again, reiterating how important this moment is, how monumental it is if we're going to restore the greatness of this country. And he talked about unifying as a party, something that seems like Democrats do well, but Republicans struggle with. He said that cannot be the case at this moment in the life of this country. So I think he set a great tone. He didn't try to micromanage the outstanding issues to resolve as a conference, but he gave us a good push. And I think the right message at the right time to get this thing to the floor this week and on and across the transom to the upper chamber.
And last question, Mr. Chairman, when it comes back from the upper chamber, they're going to make some changes, obviously. Who's going to be in the conference? Are you part of the conference?
Well, as budget chairman, I sure hope so. I mean, I'm on Ways and Means, so I had a hand in the tax reform piece, but, we were the lead dog in the sled when it came to making sure we had the right fiscal framework, which is what you start with. It's called the budget resolution. It sets the targets on spending and savings. And then we just shepherded the process so that we could meet those targets and have a meaningful set of policies that are really historic, as I mentioned before, from tax to energy to border and spending cuts. So I'm very pleased, and I do anticipate that we will conference, although I hope the Senate just makes immaterial changes, non-substantive changes, and sends it back, because they haven't done the work that we've done. And they're really relying on our budget targets and the work through the various constituencies and caucuses that are certainly diverse in both the Senate and the House Republican conferences. So to expedite this, I hope they make some minor tweaks. We don't have to have a big conference, and we can get this onto the president's desk. Most importantly, make it a reality in the lives of the American people.
That would be great by July 4th. Chairman Jodey Arrington, Congressman from Texas, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it very much. I was on Fox American Newsroom this morning with Bill and Aisha, Dana off today. I want to play for you what I had to say as Donald Trump came rolling into the Capitol this morning, cut number 2.
Hewitt standing by watching as well. And Hugh, good morning to you. You are Johnny on the spot today. Welcome to our coverage. Everyone has said in the end it gets done. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. Morning, Bill. Morning, Aisha.
Morning.
I thought the president was a message machine this morning in his 2 stops that were carried live on Fox. He stopped and he said, I'm a cheerleader. This is a pep talk. We're so united. Mike Johnson, so wonderful. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse. If he said waste, fraud, and abuse once, he said it 20 times, which is the art of the messaging deal. And he's just setting up a sit down. And you've got a couple of great congressmen, for example, Chip Roy, Fiscal Hawk. Mike Lawler wants relief for his district in a blue state. He's got to satisfy both of these smart guys, and he's there to close. And I don't know if either of you even remember Glengarry Glen Ross when Alec Baldwin says coffee is for closers. Well, the commander-in-chief is the closer-in-chief. And he's up there to close, and that pep talk's going to be something to hear. I'm sure you'll get lots of text about it.
Well, I am getting lots of text from inside the room right now. Lots of people are excited, House Republicans. And look, we hardly ever see a president, come to Capitol Hill. This is a very big deal. Normally he gets on the phone. Normally he just invites him over to the White House. What does that tell you very quickly here about the status of these negotiations? I'm hearing that they got worse overnight.
Well, I haven't heard that, but I don't doubt that there are difficult moments as you get close. I think he's there for the energy. He is a walking, talking energy production machine. And he does have a lift in his step after that trip to the Middle East, $5 trillion this morning, he's saying. And it was a very wonderful trip. It was very successful on every level. And therefore, when he gets back, he's got all this positive energy, takes it into the room, and the caucus, which is, 220-something people, they're all going to be impacted by that energy. And the reality, and he underscored the reality a couple times, if they don't do anything, it's a 68% tax hike. It would be fundamentally destructive of the economy not to pass this bill, and that in the end will get them there. But there's going to be, Chip Roy and Mike Lawler have done a fine job of planting flags from which they can negotiate. Now the closure's there, and they're going to get to yes.
Okay, all right, Hugh, thanks for coming on.
I do think they're going to get to yes. All right, that's what I think. But help them get the yes. Go to taxcutsnow.com. Add your voice to the voices of everyone at the Job Creators Network. Taxcutsnow.com. Don't get left behind. Make sure your congressman hears from you, your senators hear from you, because your voice matters, and Job Creators Network has made it easy to connect with them. Taxcutsnow.com. I'll be right back. Mr. Chairman, welcome back. Are we over the line yet? Are we done? Oh, no, we can't hear you, Chairman. We do not know what's going on with... You got that beautiful backdrop, too. I really want to hear you. I want to hear what happened in that meeting this morning, because you're one of the principal. There are like 4 people that matter the most, and they're trying to draw the teams together. While we wait for him, send it to the congressional staffer that you're closest to, because they're all kind of stressed out with these late night meetings. And tonight, they're going to 1 in the morning. I think the vote on the rule is tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if it's the vote on the final bill. It might be. I got to ask him when we get him on the air whether or not it is. In the meantime, let me play you a little bit on Donald Trump, cut number 15. He's up at the congressional gaggle talking afterwards. Cut number 15.
The Democrats want to raise your taxes. If this doesn't work, if this doesn't get the numbers that the Republicans want, and I think it does, I think it's all Republican votes, the Democrats are going to be raising your taxes by 68%. And they will not do the we're going to have an 85% cut in drug costs. 85% cut in drug costs. The Democrats, the drug prices are going to go up. I can't imagine a Democrat not voting for this. I think the Democrats, if they don't vote for it, that means they're voting for an increase in drug prices. Think of that, versus an 80 to an 85, maybe 75, but could be an 85% cut in drug costs.
Then Speaker Johnson got his 2 cents in, cut number 22.
We're repealing and rolling back over $500 billion in funding for the radical Green New Deal policies from Biden's so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We call it the Inflation Act. We're ending Biden's war on American energy. We're banning Medicaid dollars from going to transgender surgeries for minors. We're canceling Biden's student loan repayment program. We're increasing university endowment tax for these big woke institutions. We're revoking tax-exempt status for nonprofits that materially support terrorism. We're doubling the jail time for leaks of confidential taxpayer information. We're eliminating big businesses' ability to engage in woke PR campaigns to facilitate refundability for green energy projects. We're incentivizing federal workforce to be at-will employees, and we're repealing Biden's disastrous EV mandate.
Then he went on. We'll go back to the president now. Cut number 20, his warning to GOP caucus grandstanders. Cut number 20.
Moved open borders. Go ahead, another one.
Are Republicans still grandstanding in your view?
Oh, yeah, sure. You have a couple that will grandstand, but I think even the grandstanders should. Look, the alternative is a 68% tax increase. And you can blame the Democrats for that and 1 or 2 grandstanders. We only have 1 or 2, but we have tremendous support. But you'll have a 68% tax increase, or you'll get a massive tax decrease. You'll get a tax cut, the likes of which we've never had before. This is bigger than any Ronald Reagan tax cut. It's even bigger than the tax cut that I gave, because as you know, that's being extended and increased. So this is the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, or you'll get a 68% tax increase. And if that happens, I mean, what Republican could vote for that to happen? Because there wouldn't be a Republican much longer. They would be knocked out so fast. But we're going up to details. This is a...
And one more cut. Have we given up on Chairman Smith? Apparently we have. Cut number 17.
It's important for the country. It's not important for me. It's important for the country. This is the greatest bill that will ever I think it's the most important bill this country just about has ever done in terms of size and scope. That's why we call it the great, big, beautiful deal. I mean, it really is. The bill is going to be one of the most important. It's the biggest tax reduction in history, biggest regulation reduction in history. Incredible for Medicaid, for Medicare. The only thing, we're going to leave it exactly as it was, other than for obviously waste, fraud, and abuse. We're strengthening it. We're going to make these things even stronger. The Democrats are going to destroy Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And we're going to keep them, but even make them stronger.
I don't see how the GOP doesn't pass this, but never say never. That's what the president likes to say to people who come to him and say no. He said, never say never. So I can't say that the GOP won't screw this up. Tom Massey's not going to vote for it. So they can lose 2 more votes, and that's it. So it's a very narrow bridge that they got to walk across, and we'll find out by tomorrow morning whether they got to cross it. We'll keep trying with Chairman Smith during the break here and see if we can't get him. Stay tuned on Hugh.
The enemy of good, and was telling people to support the bill, to move forward. Of course, he was talking about various provisions within the bill, but failure's not an option. We've said this all along. We have to be able to deliver this for the American people, or we'll face the largest tax increase in the history of America on every single American.
So there's a vote tonight at 1 a.m. What is that vote for? Is that the rule, and then are you going to move immediately to a final vote, or what's the situation?
So the Rules Committee will start at 1 o'clock in the morning tonight, or Wednesday morning. And so there'll be 11 different committees that will be testifying before the Rules Committee, and that could take 8, 12, 24 hours. There's no time limit in the Rules Committee. That's why it's starting at 1. The vote will not be until the end, and that will be for passage of the bill and any possible amendments that may be included in the manager's amendment.
Now, so are we done, do we think, by tomorrow night?
It all depends on the cooperation of the Democrats. It would not surprise me, Hugh, if they try to stall the Rules Committee, much like what they've done with Ways and Means, Energy and Commerce. Like, our markup went 18 hours in the Ways and Means Committee last Tuesday. So I think you might see that again. But as soon as the Rules Committee votes this bill out, we're going to be going to the floor to start the debate on the passage of the one big, beautiful bill.
So you don't think you'll get to Memorial Day, the long weekend, without having finished your job? Last question to you, Mr. Chairman.
You know, Hugh, we have to deliver on this before we break. So I think we will definitely get this bill passed out of the House. Failure is not an option. It may be a little bit bumpy throughout this process, but we're going to get it done before we leave.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for keeping me in the loop throughout the entire process, and good luck tonight. I hope you got your no-dos with you, and extra cup of coffee and some Starbucks standing by, because we need to get this bill done in American business, the certainty it needs to grow. Chairman Jason Smith of Missouri, thank you. I'm coming right back. America, stay tuned.